Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about what is happening with the S&P index and the overall market in general and why it's not crashing at the levels we think it should be crashing when it comes to the horrible situation that's going on in Russia and Ukraine. Now, to do this, I did my live stream this morning as I opened the market. I'm going to be doing that every day from Monday through Friday, 9:15 a.m. Eastern. And I was going through the S&P chart. And when I went through the S&P chart, I was honestly fascinated to realize that in October of 2013, till March of 2014, when the annexation of Crimea happened within Russia, the market really didn't sell it off. And I was shocked to see that because I was like, well, there's all these global macro political economic effects as a result of Russia and doing bad things, oil, inflation. We're going to talk about that in a second. So like, why did the US stock market, which is one of the richest stock markets in the world, not sell off this event? And I started digging deeper into it and I started to realize why it really didn't sell off this event and why this event that's happening right now might not be sold off as well. So let's head into the charts right now and let's kind of look at what's going on. If we look all the way over here in around 2013, so here we're in 2010, let's go up to 2013. If we go to October of 2013, we are trading, or here we are, we're December of 2013. We are trading right at $152. The S&P was $152. Right now, it's $430. So since 2014, it's almost tripled, a little bit closer to around there, a little bit less than tripled. But we're at $152. Now, as we go closer and closer to the annexation of Crimea, which happened around January of 2014, all the way up until March of 2014, and by May, there was kind of a resolution, we ended at around $198. I mean, if you're looking at here, let's go to January, or let's March 2014. That's a better accurate, $192. So in October of 2013, we're at $140, $150. And a couple months later, after a macro global political event of literally a country coming into another country and taking another part of that country through force, the market does not sell it off and we only get further. If we go to the charts right now and look at what's going on, here is where we started getting a little bit more of a, around here is where things started getting a little rough, right? So we ended the year at around $470. This was December 31st, 2021. The S&P increased 27% year over year, phenomenal year. And then now we're at $430. So we've seen a little bit of a sell-off from $470 to $430, but it's not only because of the Russia situation. It's because of high inflation. It's because of the Fed minutes. It's because of people getting more hawkish. It's because of growth stocks being demolished. It's because of crypto going down. There's so many other events that really have nothing to do with geopolitical events. It has everything to do with the macro economy and how investors are simply turning towards more value stocks versus growth stocks, because if inflation rates continue to persist, interest rates are going to go higher. If interest rates are higher, inflation stocks, growth stocks are not going to be able to necessarily have the same values that they're going to have. Their values will be compressed because the cost of borrowing capital will be harder or will be more expensive, and these stocks are only valued on the future cash flows that they have. And if those future cash flows will be diminished because the cost of getting those future cash flows will be more because you have to pay more to borrow capital, i.e. interest rates, then those valuations will get compressed. As a result of that, we've seen this massive sell-off. But the geopolitical events that are going on right now have not led to a crazy sell-off. I mean, we've just had events over the past couple of days, and really nothing that crazy has been happening. Let's go to the 5-day. As you can see on the 5-day, again, right here, we got to the low of around 411, which is a correction. It's not a bear market territory yet. It's a correction. And then we rallied all the way. This rally, by the way, was last Thursday, Friday, when everything was really starting to go down with Russia and Ukraine. And right now, the market really has not sold it off. So the question is, why has the market not sold it off? And here is a article that I want to bring up that I think is a really good article. And in this article, this is what they say. For the most part, equity analysts continue to play down the potential for Ukraine conflict to have more than a passing impact on U.S. equities. Well, why is the reason for that? Despite near-term volatility in the wake of geopolitical events over the past 3 decades, ranging from terrorist attacks to the start of wars, stocks have tended to bounce back relatively quickly, Adam noted, rallying 4.6% on average in the 6 months following such crises dating back to the 1990 and rising 81% of the time. So they conclude by saying, in general, Fed policy and economic conditions tend to be more long-term drivers of the economy and financial markets rather than isolated geopolitical events. And to me, that started to make a lot of sense, because I was like, okay, when a bad thing happens, when a geopolitical event happens, it's a question of like, what actually is the market going to react to? And we've seen over the past couple of weeks, really, I guess months since January, that the market is reacting to bad things that are happening domestically. Bad things that are happening with inflation rates, bad things that are happening with consumers not necessarily wanting to spend more or potentially spending too much, bad things that are happening with interest rates hikes. That's where we got the massive sell-off starting November 2021 when Russia and Ukraine wasn't even the biggest thing in the world like it is right now. So these isolated geopolitical events don't seem to have the biggest impact because in the long run, the question that I think has to emerge for investors is where are you going to invest your money? Where else are you going to get this type of return? And if there's a geopolitical event that's happening in some part of the world that is connected to the global economy, but not connected at the level at which if it is destroyed, i.e. China, if something was happening in China and all of our supply chains in China, that is a much more significant political event that actually affects the economics of the United States more so than Russia. In fact, if we look at our charts right now, the Russian ruble is really interesting to kind of look at. So where did I have it up? Let me just look it up right now. There we go. US dollar, Russian ruble. So if you can see this, the Russian ruble is trading at 106 rubles to $1. So as you can see, as this chart is going up, that's not a good thing for this chart to go up because that means the Russian ruble is getting inflated even more. That means there's more and more rubles that it takes to make $1, which is bad because that means the value of your currency goes low. I'm from India, and whenever I go to India, $1 is like 70 rupees. I remember getting a haircut, and I got like a full facial massage, all this stuff for like $6. And I was like, in America, I pay $25 for my haircut. So it's like, it's absolutely insane the level of disproportionate value you get for that $1. Why is this happening in Russia? Well, the entire world is sanctioning the crap out of Russia. As a result of sanctioning the crap out of them, their currency is decreasing in value and in legitimacy worldwide. Russians can't even get 20 rubles from their ATMs because their entire banks have been cut off. Assets have been frozen. As a result, it was trading at around 70 rubles or 83 rubles just a couple days ago, and with what has happened over the weekend with increased sanctions across the entire global economy, now we're at 110, which is just absolutely insane. In comparison, the British pound trades at $1, equaling $1.34 of the British pound. So the British pound is actually way better than the dollar, not in terms of as a reserve currency, but in terms of if you go to Great Britain and you try to spend $1, you're actually going to get less for your dollar versus if you go to a country like Russia, which means that currency is just a little bit more powerful from a from a trading perspective. So these are the interesting things to take into account because it's like if these things are happening, if the Russian ruble is basically getting demolished and the stock market is not selling off what's going on in Russia, even though Russia provides 50% of oil, even though Russia plays a big part in terms of commodities, exports, and a lot of the world's minerals and raw materials come from Russia, if the market is not reacting to it, that means they've priced in any bad things that may happen as a result of it. Number two, they are accepting of the political solutions that worldwide leaders have instituted against Russia right now, which is sanctions and getting them away from the SWIFT banking system, which is basically a global banking system that allows institutions, financial institutions, and banks to cross-communicate and message with each other. If Russia is basically gone from all of those areas and institutions, that means the Russian people are suffering the most. And the question then I think that has to be asked to the market, this is the final question the market has to ask, is how long will Putin allow people in Russia to not have food, not be in lines of McDonald's forever, right? Like not being able to get money out of their bank accounts. How long is he going to allow that to happen? Because the more he allows that to happen, the more those Russian people are not going to be happy with him because their economy is going to be in the trash. And the US stock market has really no correlation with that because we're not doing that much business with Russia. A lot more countries are trying to become more energy independent. If oil is able to be found in other places, then Russia's really going to be let off the map. So it doesn't seem like the US stock market is selling this off just like they didn't think this event mattered in the annexation of Crimea from a market perspective. Obviously, from a moral perspective, it's absolutely horrible. But from a market perspective, it doesn't seem like, or it is baked in, and so it doesn't seem like anything worse that could happen would have a substantial, crazy effect. Now, if there is something really bad that happened that leads to war or something like that, that's a whole different question. But just the current situation that it is right now is simply not allowing the market to sell it off, which begs the question of what is going to happen with this geopolitical event, and is there a significant increase in tensions that could arise that could allow there to be a massive sell-off. But as of now, it's very similar to how it happened in 2014. There's really no sell-off at all. Any sell-off that's happening is really done through domestic policy that's going on with our own money issues, not necessarily geopolitical events. So thank you guys for watching. Just wanted to share that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the market will sell off more things that happen with Russia? And ultimately, do you think that this is going to be a one-off political event that really doesn't put a dent in the market, or a sustained, elongated period of pain that's going to happen in the global economy because of Russia not capitulating to the NATO and to NATO and what Western countries ultimately want them to be able to do? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.